In this module, we're going to be taking a look at the importance of well-designed environments in the early childhood classroom. And at the end of this module, you'll be able to describe the management of learning centers as well as what types of centers you'll want to have in the classroom and outdoor play environment. Also, we're going to be discussing materials and supplies needed in the classroom, as well as what types of things children learn in each center. So we're going to start with a discussion of the theory of loose parts, and you will learn more about this as you go through this module. But basically, loose parts are what it sounds like. They're loose materials, so they're not anchored playground equipment that we see on a lot of playgrounds, but there are materials that children can manipulate and move around to different spaces. And they're also open-ended materials that children can use in different ways. So an example, as you can see the picture here, an example of loose parts would be buttons. So buttons do have a specific purpose. They can be used for sewing and to, fix clothing. If they lose a button, you can sew on a new button. But they can be used for art materials, and they can be used to pretend that they are something else as well. So children could use them in the dramatic play area to pretend like they are little cookies or treats, for example. Loose parts can be recycled materials such as cardboard boxes, cardboard tubes. They can be egg cartons, and they can also be natural materials such as sticks, rocks, seashells, leaves, wildflowers, and of course many other different things as well. So the benefits of these types of materials is that, first of all, if they're recycled or if they're natural materials, they are either free or low cost, and also it helps children to really use their creativity to use these parts in different ways, and it helps them in their play, because if they are, for example, in the dramatic play area and they are pretending that they're trick-or-treating, then they could use these buttons as the treats that children are getting as they're going door to door. So that way they can be, again, used in multiple ways. So connecting theory to environments, we have discussed multiple early childhood theories. Now we're going to connect that to the learning environment. So part of Piaget and Vygotsky's theories are that they really encourage children to be active in their learning. So we know that young children don't learn best by sitting still and listening for long periods of time. They learn by doing. So if you tell a child something, they may not really understand it or remember it, but if they learn it through play, they'll understand it much better and be more likely to remember it as well. In the classroom, you should have low shelves that children can easily access, and they should be labeled with both words and a picture, and this helps them be more independent in both finding the materials that they need for their play and also helping with the cleanup at the end of center time. Children need to be challenged in the environment, so this would fit with Vygotsky's theory and the zone of proximal development. So challenge is really built into children's play without much effort, because children do perform at a higher level when they're playing, and they're highly motivated to participate in that activity. So their language is usually at a higher level during play than other types of activities. Their cognitive level, their social interactions, all of those things are challenged when they're playing. And children can just kind of begin operating in their own zone of proximal development. So if there's a child who is in the pre-writing stage, then they can be in the dramatic play area. Maybe they're pretending like it's a pizza restaurant and they are taking an order. So they might be scribbling the order or making letter-like forms. Other children who are at the copying stage can use the menu and copy the word pepperoni pizza if that's what a friend has ordered. A consistent daily routine is really important. There will be flexibility built into that routine, but children will feel safe when they have that consistent daily routine and there's that picture schedule hanging on the wall so that they know what comes next. This predictability makes them feel safe because it can be a little anxiety-inducing if you don't know what's going to happen each day. So again, there is flexibility in that, but it is consistent as well. And then when there are changes, you can change that in the schedule and let them know that something's going to be moved around. Of course, in the early childhood classroom, there should be opportunities for play and child-initiated activities. And we've talked about that some, and again, make sure that you look for that in the readings in the module as well. But children will learn so much through play, and it will prepare them better for the next step in their educational journey. So the environment really does act as a teacher, which is why it's really important to think carefully about what materials should be available, how they should be organized. And really, the outdoor environment should be an extension of the indoor learning environment. So anything that can be taught or learned in the classroom can also be learned outside, but a lot of times it's more meaningful and more enjoyable as well. So all the interest areas that you have in the classroom are areas that can be incorporated in the outdoor environment as well. And that can be permanent center areas in the outdoor environment, or it could be different themed boxes that you bring outside, or a cart of materials that you take to the outdoor area. That can be done in different ways. But the children should have opportunities for different types of play outdoors as well as indoors. So the sensory play, it's great to have sand and water in both environments if possible. You can do outdoor blocks. You can find ways to incorporate dramatic play outside. A lot of playgrounds now have areas for music built into them, and you can have art outside. Again, all of those areas that are inside can be outside. So then you can take a basket of books from the library area in the classroom outside on the playground one day so children can enjoy them outside as well. So these are a list of some of the recommended center areas in your classroom. And you do not have to have all of these, but developmentally appropriate practice really does stress the importance of dramatic play, blocks, art, the library or book area, and then science and nature. So those first ones there on the list are some of the most important because dramatic play has specific language and social interaction components. Blocks is that constructive play, as well as art, that's constructive play also. Children are making representations of things in both of those areas. Of course, we need high quality children's literature available. And then there are specific benefits for children having access to natural materials as well and problem-solving materials. These other ones, math, you're going to want math manipulatives in your classroom, puzzles and games. Again, you're going to want lots of opportunities for children to engage in music activities. So having that as a center is a really great idea as well. You can have a listening area where children can listen to music, but also you could have, and I know this gets noisy, but you can have some musical instruments in the music area as well. You can choose some that maybe aren't quite as loud as others. You should have a semi-private area in the classroom or a safe space. This can be used for conflict resolution. It can be used if a child just gets overstimulated and needs a few minutes away from the group. When I had a pop-up little play tent in my classroom when I taught preschool, and sometimes children would go in there when they were just needing a little time to themselves. Occasionally I would have a preschool child go in the tent and just curl up in there and actually fall asleep. So sometimes if children are overly tired, that can be an area for them to rest until they're ready to come back as well. It's, like I said, it's a great idea to have a sensory area. This can be sand and water. It can be other types of materials such as rice or beans, and then you can add other little materials or toys into that area, especially measuring cups and spoons and things like that. But you can also put materials in there for children to find that relate to your theme or project that you're working on at the time. You should have an area for the large group to meet, such as a circle time area. And then you may want an area for teaching small groups as well. So I had a horseshoe-shaped table in my classroom when I taught preschool and kindergarten, and I could use that for a little bit more teacher-directed art activities, or small group math lessons. For kindergarten, it could be for guided reading activities. So there's a lot of different ways to use that area as well.